Hey.
Hi.
It's always such a pleasure to see your face. I miss you so much.
I miss you too. And I'm so happy to see you. I love the
It's
bang sweep.
it's grown out slowly but surely. It's been frustrating. It's at that length where it kind of bothers me, but I'm working with it.
I love it. Are you growing it totally out?
I think for a while I do miss my bangs. I'm definitely going to go back to them eventually, but I figure I made it this far. I might as well, for another while just and who knows, I might like it. So yeah, trying something new.
I love it. I think it looks great. And I totally know what you mean about that awkward phase because I think every time that we record together, my hair just gets a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And it's in an awkward phase where it's not really short, it's not long, it's just like it just needs a little bit more
It
to.
uh it's a frustrating place to be, but like if you hold out, it's gonna be great again. So that's what I'm trying to do. I was actually looking at photos of our trip to LA, and when you had your hair, it just looks so good. It was a good cut on you. I
Yeah,
know you
and
were like back and forth with it, but like photographic evidence proves you made a good choice.
and then a year ago my hair was that short but bleach blonde, and then the year before that my hair was like down to here and like ombre. It's just I still can't believe just how often things would change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've had quite a few. I had purple hair. Did I have it when we met? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I've dyed it. Anything. Just lazy.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Just like leave it. And
Oh,
it's nice and long and beautiful. It's just, why would you want to mess with perfection,
well, thank
in my
you.
opinion?
So how have you been?
I've been, I've been spending a lot of time outside,
Mm-hmm.
and I just got a new set of golf clubs.
Ooh.
By new set, I mean like a set. I don't have a set, and somebody gave me a very old set of golf clubs, like secondhand, like a mix between all these different. But it's great. It's perfect, and I'm gonna go and practice at the driving range, hopefully a little bit, and then hopefully get out on the course with a couple of my buddies and my brothers because they've been really enjoying um, golfing this summer.
Is that something you used to do or
I used
just
to,
a new?
yeah, I used to work at a golf course.
Oh,
I would drive the beverage cart, and I worked in the snack shack and sold hot dogs and beer. And then on Mondays it was ladies' night, and a lot of the ladies that worked there, just like, you know, anywhere we were like 19 to 40 years old, we'd go out and do ladies' night, but we'd not usually make it past the ninth hole because we'd be into the coolers.
that's my kind of golf.
You can
I
ask.
actually, when I lived in Edmonton, ooh, cheers.
Cheers.
When I lived in Edmonton, hold on, I do want to sip of this. Mm. Oh,
Mm.
so tasty. I lived across the street, pretty much across the street from this golf course. And I would go there in the daytime and I would collect all the balls that were like shot out into nowhere, basically. And then by the end of the day, I'd have like a whole bucket and I'd clean them. And then the golf course would like give me money for them back. And so it was like a big thing that I would do where I'd spend all day collecting these golf balls. And then I had a routine where I would get my money and then I would sit at the little shack because they had one there too. And I would get a fudgesicle and it was like my reward. And I still, I remember it got to the point though where like I totally just would go out onto the golf course and like collect balls. Like a ball would just come, which is also kind of scary because like it could have hit me. But I was like, oh, a golf ball. So I'm pretty sure like I messed up a bunch of people's games by just stealing the balls. But
Collecting balls since 1998.
exactly.
Good for you. I just realized I'm gonna buy that version of Zoom where you can have longer than 45-minute things. I hope we don't get kicked off. If we do, I'll just mesh the videos together.
Okay, cool.
So
Well, let's get into it then.
Let's get into it. Okay, Patreon.
Yes. Hey, all our Patreon members.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Happy to see us, I hope. Trying out some more video related stuff, especially since we can't be in the same room anymore. So this really it helps. Like, I love this part. So
Yeah, I like it too.
yeah.
Well, what are we doing today, little lady?
Talking about one of our favorite films. I'm sure most of our patrons.
I think they are called patrons. No, it's patrons.
Patreons. You know what? Patronites. I like that. Yeah. So yeah, Almost Famous. 20 years? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been 20 years. And so we're not covering the movie today. We're going to be talking about what Rolling Stone magazine did with Cameron Crowe and Billy Crudup and Patrick Fugit. Is that how they pronounce it? And Kate Hudson and Brian Hyatt, and then some other guy whose name I forget, but whose podcast looks really good. It's just them on YouTube, kind of like this, but all of them talking about the movie. It was just under an hour.
Yeah, it was really cool to see that they all look great still. And Kate Hudson, my goodness, she's just like a goddess. So is her mom. Goldie Hawn is one of my favorite people ever. So it makes sense that she has a daughter who's just as like beautiful. And yeah.
Yeah, I didn't read too many of the comments. I just kind of accidentally glanced at one, and somebody said like, oh man, Patrick Fugit looks so different. And it's like, he was 15. Right, he turned 16 on the set of that movie, and he's now 36. Like, that's a huge difference. Like, I would hope that he would look different. He looks so different. Well, I would hope so.
I think he still has that like baby face to him though, even though like obviously he's older and more mature, but I like that he's still got some sort of like charm to him that he had back then as well,
Yeah, even though he's got that big beard and he's like vaping. Did you see him vaping a little bit on his vape pen?
I like that his background was the Almost Famous photo as well. That was cute.
I actually wrote a little note about everybody's backgrounds.
Oh.
So Cameron Crowe was outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you caught this, but at the 20-minute mark, and then one time after that, you could see a gardener in the background, like coming around,
I didn't
holding
notice.
a flower. In the background a few times. I thought Billy Crudup's White House was kind of boring, but I did like the exposed pipe.
I did notice it was just a lot of white compared to Kate's.
Sexy lounge.
Yeah. That's a room that I would want to be like reading in every day and enjoying. So
yeah, and then like you said, Patrick Fugit had the
Almost Famous.
I mean, and I shouldn't talk about like a background, because honestly, like, if you could see what I see right now, you wouldn't want that as a background. I'm actually in a room full of all of my stuff because I'm living in a trailer and I'm in a house and all of our stuff is in one house. So it's just, I can see like, there's my bed and like, oh, there's another mattress and there's a chair. So like, you don't want to see what's going on over there. So
no, that's all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry. The white looks good with you.
Okay. So there was Brian Hyatt. He was kind of the moderator. Do you know who Brian Hyatt is?
Mm-mm.
Brian Hyatt is a writer for Rolling Stone magazine, and he's probably one of the top writers there. Like, he's done a lot of the like high profile pieces. There was one where he hung out with Harry Styles for like days apparently and wrote this big thing on him. And then he hosts the podcast Rolling Stone New Music Now. It was quite good. I used to listen to it a lot more often than I did now. And then the other guy whose name I forget, sorry, I could probably look it up because I wanted to kind of tell you some episodes anyways, his podcast is called Origins.
Origins.
And so then he goes through a whole bunch of stuff for like Almost Famous. I'll tell you some of the titles of the episodes, but that pretty much wraps up who was there, right? Did I miss anyone?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's James Andrew Miller. That's the name of the guy. At one point they were like, where's Jason Lee? And everyone was like, I don't know.
He was uninvited.
Okay, so episode 1 is casting. So, and like the details are like Almost Famous was almost a very different movie. Can you imagine the film with Meryl Streep, Brad Pitt, and Natalie Portman? Episode 2 is Cameron Crowe Unmasked. Episode 3 is Rock School in pre-production. Episode 4 on set and on location. And then episode 5 is 20 years. So 5 episodes,
Nice.
and they're all just over an hour long-ish, and it looks really good.
I'll definitely check that out. Yeah.
I haven't listened to them yet.
It's interesting you were talking about casting. That's one of those things. And because of the 20-year thing, there's been articles about Almost Famous too, and they have that podcast happening. And I did hear about the Brad Pitt almost being cast in the Billy Crudup role. And I also know that Sarah Polley was supposed to be Penny Lane, which is very interesting. I can definitely picture her. And for those who might not know her, she's a Canadian actress, director, writer. She's an incredible, I feel like she would have been great, but it's hard to picture anyone other than Kate in that role. I feel like the other roles, like, yeah, I can see Meryl Streep kicking butt as the mom, though Frances McDormand obviously killed it. But like, that is one role that it's just so hard to imagine someone else in it now that she put her stamp on that.
Totally. They all seemed really excited to be there. They were all genuinely funny. Like, I laughed at a few things that they said. I thought Billy Crudup was like so funny and gorgeous and seemed really excited to be there.
Yeah. I think Kate Hudson said like this was just like a magical group of people, and you definitely get that sense. And it is nice to know, like, when there's been other films that I adore, and then you read about the filming of it and it wasn't so nice for the people making it. And it is nice to know, and it did come out on screen. I think like you could tell that they all cared about each other very much and about the story and everything. And that's it is a magical group of people, you know.
Totally. Yeah. I haven't watched the movie for a while because I think that like I didn't overwatch it, but I watched it so much, and then it kind of felt like there was a time in my life where it made me really sad to watch it.
I agree. I definitely don't watch it that often. I used to watch it religiously. Now it's like every couple of years. And yeah, it is one of those interesting movies where it means something different to you with growing up, you know. I think that it came out at the perfect time, like 20 years ago. I was a teenager dreaming of like that kind of lifestyle and being on the road and everything. And now that, you know, we have had our own experiences in that realm as well, it is interesting to rewatch it with that perspective. Right?
I feel really, really grateful that we got to, as much as we could, play out some sense of what we could in that same vein, you know? And so I don't feel like I'm watching it and like just wishing that like I had something like I had in my own way it couldn't have been any other way given my time that I was around a lot of musicians and the town that I was living in and the country that I was living in. Like, it was perfect. And like a lot of things were like coming back the other night, and I was sitting around the fire like talking about them. I was like, shit, that was funny and that was fun. And I bet if I like went back in my journals, I could remember what the name of that band was. But you know, we had a blast. So I think I'm in a good point in my life where I can go back and rewatch the movie and not feel like, well, that part of my life is over, because in a way it is, and that's fine. Yeah. And we'll get to that like a little bit later about like where are they now, but that's it, is like if you rewatch the movie, it feels like this never ends because you're stuck in this moment forever. But the fact of the matter is that it ends. and that can be really difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably what happened with me too, where it got to a point where like when I stopped sort of living that kind of lifestyle, you do miss it. I'm happy, like you said, I'm in a good place. That's not something that I feel I need to seek out anymore. Um, but yeah, it's almost like when you break up with someone, you need time apart, and like otherwise, like the feelings are like too much. That's I feel like what happened with that movie. But now it's like I can look back and relate, and in a positive way, not like a oh like I miss it type of way. Absolutely.
Exactly. Another thing that I was really thinking about is they got into detail about the scene on the bus with Tiny Dancer, and it made me reappreciate that scene. And I liked hearing, that, oh, I didn't know that Billy Crudup was an awful singer, but Cameron made him sing it as loud as he could, and how they did the camera and stuff like that. But one thing that I was talking about is that like that level of like tour bus really doesn't exist anymore, and hasn't for a long time. There's no in between, like almost famous, like semi-famous, very nearly famous tour bus. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen one in all of my time. It was either a large van or a huge bus, and those were for the like elite. Like,
Yeah, pretty much the same. Yeah, you either had a van or you had like a $1 million tour bus that your record label. The only one band I can remember that had a middle of the road bus, um, and I can't remember their names right now. I know they're from Vancouver, and they had a school bus that they turned into their tour bus, and that was like really cool and fun. And I went around with them for like a little bit. But that's the only one I could think of, and that was like very rare because they were the ones who put that together. So yeah, there really isn't any middle ground, it seems, anymore. You're either in one of those big expensive ones, or you just got like a shitty white van that's breaking it
very
down.
cramped.
Yeah.
Very cramped. What did you like about this YouTube get together? Did you and
One of
Tom
my
Brand?
favorite parts was talking about Patrick Fugit and how he basically was his character. Like you said, he was 15 years old when they were making it. They talked about how like everyone was very protective of him, just like they were with the character sort of in the movie. And uh, again, that's just a great casting. You could have cast like a seasoned teenage actor who was jaded, but no, you got one that was like excited. And you know, I just like the idea of all of them like treating him all, like don't like protect his innocence, right? And when they were talking about the like deflowering scene and how nervous he was, and like how some of the girls like Bijou Phillips actually made a point to like, you know, not protect his innocence, and again goes with the characters and stuff. So yeah, that was really cool to know, like again, like life imitating art even in that sense. And all his nerves about it was so cute.
I loved that. And I like how they said that his eyebrows were like the special gift to the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's just so like wide-eyed and expressive like the whole time. Um and again, like I do think that comes off on screen, especially in that scene where like he's just like surrounded by these beautiful women, and he's just, a deer in the headlights, and that was so cute.
Hmm.
I,
And
oh, go on.
speaking of excellent casting, Phil, as they call him, Phil Hoffman.
I was just gonna say that. Yes, I love Philip Seymour Hoffman so much, and they it was really cool that they talked about him. And um, I think I've seen other things where Patrick has talked about how great Hoffman was to be around, and that he learned a lot and everything. And um, it's just fascinating also to know that one point where Crow was talking about how Hoffman that he was like playing music for Hoffman, and then Hoffman was
And he
like,
did that for the other actors to get them in the scene. He'd play usually the song that was going to be in the scene for them to get them in the headspace.
yeah, yeah.
Best, yeah.
And Hoffman got angry about it and was like, what makes you think your music is better than like what I have going on in my head for this scene, right? And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, let me do my process.
Yeah, yeah.
Because my process works better for me. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, you're absolutely right. Like if anybody on that set is gonna call cut besides Cameron Crowe, it's Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Exactly. Yeah. If Patrick did it, it might have been a little weird. But yeah, if you're going to hire a guy like Hoffman, you let him do what he wants and take it from there. Right. So, and of course, it worked out. He's probably, that's like one of the best characters ever, basically. Like he did such a good job. If they ever made a film about Lester Bangs, I can't even imagine it being anywhere near as good as just like the couple scenes that he is in this, you know?
So true.
Yeah.
Speaking of amazing scenes, because we're doing Zoom and I'm able to do a screen share, I'm going to try this out. I hope that it works, and I hope the sound works for you guys. But I wanted to just play a clip of when Cameron Crowe was talking about Penny Lane's character and kind of what she means as a character and how that character came out during the scene of when she finds out that she was sold for $50 in a case of beer.
Cool.
Okay, so let's try and
give it a shot.
Let's try and do this. Did I do it?
There we are. I see it.
This is the scene.
Can we do one more version of this? And she'd go, Cameron Crowe. I love it. You died for that kind of a collaboration. So, and she was right. You know, my thing about that scene that I always remember is, you know, the character as written was she lights up every room she walks into. And that's Kate, you know, that's Kate. And I just wanted to make sure, and that was what you were doing, but I just wanted to make sure that we had the moment where that beautiful mask of making everybody feel great slips. And we see who's really there. And that's going to break our heart because maybe William is the only one that sees who she really is at that point. And William is all of us. So when I was doing that scene, I was like, fuck me up, Kate. Come on. I want to just really feel like I've seen way too much and your heart is breaking. And she did it. She did it effortlessly. And it kind of reminded me of what Billy Wilder said to me once about Audrey Hepburn, where he said,
yeah. So that was
so perfect.
I liked those little bits of really taking a scene and talking in detail about it.
And yeah, it was interesting to find out that was sort of like a frustrating scene to film because he wanted it to be so perfect and for like her to like destroy him. And I think one of the great things about Kate's performance, which I imagine happened when they were filming, is she doesn't do a lot, but like it's the little things that like really hit you. And sometimes if you're in person, like you don't notice those, right? So like she was saying, I know I got it. I know it's on the film. And then when he watched the dailies, he realized, yes, we do have it, right? And I think that's probably one of her skills where it's just like, it might be a small thing, but a devastating thing, you know? And she did really nail it. Yeah.
Totally. And I learned, and I might have known this before because I used to watch the special features and I don't have a DVD player anymore. But I'm sure I knew at one point, but I remembered, or they told me again, that the movie was shot in chronological order, which is pretty neat. Or like as chronological as possible. So by the time they got to the end and they were all feeling pretty road weary and pretty tired, that's how everybody was feeling, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the interesting things that they mentioned as well was like the Tiny Dancer scene was 2 days to shoot that one scene. And it's like you said, it's just fascinating to learn about that. And God, I wonder how many times they had to sing it over and over again. Huh? Quite a few.
Probably a few. And of that scene, I think what I don't know what the question was about that, but Kate's answer was, I was just happy to be on the bus.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Kate Hudson was just happy to be on the bus, and Penny Lane was just happy to be on the bus. And I think that kind of sums up like my time, you know, in rock and roll and meeting the people that I did and doing the things that I did. Man, I was just happy to be on the bus.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Yeah, this movie's just phenomenal. And it's so interesting like doing this type of I guess maybe they were like doing a Zoom thing as well where I was thinking and like you were talking about the journalist from Rolling Stone and um it's just interesting to think about if this story happened now, what would William Miller be doing? Would he have a podcast? Would he be touring like with his recording thing and like recording it? You know, it's
Yeah,
an
he would
interesting,
probably high fidelity it, and we would be the William Millers.
yeah, for real. I
'Cause
want to
that's
see,
what we were doing with this podcast and bringing out our little, you know,
yeah.
portable microphone. Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, Cameron Crowe said that this movie was both a love story to music and a love story to journalism. And yeah, and journalism is just, man,
It's forever
it's so
changing too. It's
interesting.
really interesting. Just like music in the music business, it's just forever shifting. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting. This movie's just so beautiful, and I think we've both talked about it often. Where like, um, I haven't like I usually watch the untitled version, and they mentioned that, and Billy Crudup was like, "What?"
Was
Like,
he serious? Because he's really funny that I thought maybe he was just joking, because that seemed to be kind of his sense of humor.
or maybe he's just not someone who like goes back and rewatches his films often. So it was like it came out and didn't really register. I'm not sure, but I love that version.
I love that he's going to be watching it with his son
I
soon.
know, that's
His
so
son is
cute.
like 15 or 16 now, so they're going to be watching it together. And I like how he said his son wanted to watch it like a couple months ago, but he just wasn't in the right headspace. And he was like, no, just wait. And he said he's like ready to rewatch it now.
I know, that was so cute. It would be fun to like if you had kids to have this whole library of like your youth and like all these roles that you played and like it would be cool to be able to see that progression, you know?
I loved the question and their answers of where do you think your character would be now?
Yeah, that was interesting. Is that how you pictured Penny? What Kate said?
Yeah.
Basically just in the garden.
In the garden, probably got married, and she didn't say to a rock star.
Yeah.
And I think that's something very important to note.
Yeah. That and that's truth the most truthful thing. I feel like that is what would have happened with Penny, you know? You do kind of grow out of it at some point, you know? So, yeah.
I liked her answer, and and it's kind of funny that she's like, and she's probably single. And we think about a lot of we'll think about the characters who she's based off of. Think about like the 5 characters that she's based off of, and what are they doing right now?
Just what she said, just like living life, enjoying the time and you know, yeah, that was a
I would have maybe given her a
honest.
bit more credit, like not just married and gardening, but like maybe she runs a really successful workshop all over the country for
Yeah.
young women writers. And, you know,
Yeah. I think she just brought it down to like the most basic
you're
thing.
right. No, and
But
I liked that. And
I could picture her traveling a lot,
Mhm.
you know, still like touring, but like on her own, like going to Morocco, going here, trying out new things. I picture her like you a lot, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like happy and
In
yeah.
the garden, in a
Yeah.
relationship with a non-musician.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Still an artist. He's still artistic, but not a
Always.
musician. And so that's why the movie was kind of hard after a while, or for a while, because it was just like it's not me anymore. But I feel like this has kind of brought things like full circle almost, where everybody is kind of like, I don't know. I liked it. I liked what they did, the YouTube thing. I wonder if it wasn't COVID times and they didn't do Zoom, how would they have gotten together? Like,
I feel like they probably would have had a screening in LA where they all attended and did a Q&A and everything. Maybe more of the cast would have come because, whoever lives out there. That would have been cool.
yeah.
I the other day, Bring It On was on TV, and like that was also a 20-year anniversary. And it just blows my mind like how quick time passes. Like that 20 years ago, that's just insanity to me. But
I know.
been a good 20 years.
It has been.
Yeah. And that movie's gonna hold up forever. Bring It On, I mean, not Almost Famous, no.
I'm ready to rewatch Almost Famous.
Yeah, I am too.
And I'm curious, maybe I'll try and get in a couple episodes of that podcast first. Or there's only 5 episodes. I should just hammer them out, watch the movie, just get right into it. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about that little YouTube clip? If you guys want to find it, just type in Almost Famous 20-year reunion, Rolling Stone.
Yeah. I think we covered pretty much everything. It was nice to see them all together. And like you said, it's just nice to see that they were also happy to see each other. And
they looked happy and healthy. And
yeah.
you love to see it. I love to see it.
Absolutely. I love Billy Crudup so much.
He's gorgeous. He's like,
right?
Gorgeous.
Perfect. Like those cheekbones and those eyes. I just rewatched Jesus' Son a couple weeks ago, and that movie's really good, and he's just perfect in it. Highly recommend.
I've never even heard of it. You're such the film buff of the two of us that I'm like,
Well, anytime you need a recommendation, you know where to go.
Okay. Can you do a Patreon, just your favorite Billy Crudup movies?
Well, Jesus' Son for sure. Inventing the Abbots. That's got like Liv Tyler in it, and Jennifer Connelly, Joaquin Phoenix.
What?
Almost Famous, obviously. I would go like for those being like top 3 that I would recommend you check out.
Okay. This is a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
2-for-1 Patreon. Well, this was a lot of fun.
It's just so lovely to see your face.
It's lovely to see your face too. Let's do some more of these.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and we didn't get cut off. We didn't get
we nailed it
off of Zoom, so that's fantastic. All right. Well, thank you everybody for subscribing, and we're hoping that you're enjoying all this stuff that we keep putting up for you. And we want to thank you. We love you.
Oh, we love you so much. Yes.
Gorgeous creatures. Patrons.
And tell us your thoughts on Almost Famous. Does it still hold up for you? Are you like us where you had to kind of step away from it for a while? And who are your favorite characters? Who would you want to see me interviewed about it? Tell us everything.
Do you think we could get Patrick Fugit on the podcast?
Maybe. I mean, can always try.
Send him an email.
Mr. Fugit.
Yeah, it's probably just patrickfugit@gmail.com.
Most likely.
Imagine just like cold emailing, like it's probably that.
Well,
I don't want to say goodbye.
I know.
It's been too
Parting
long.
is such sweet sorrow.
Yeah, it really is. But luckily, we get to record another episode. So.
Yes, and we have so many good interviews coming up for you guys, and we have other ideas for Patreon episodes. If you have ideas you want to, hear us talk about, tell us.
We're actually, doing an interview tomorrow and the next day. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little bit nervous because it's been months and months and months.
Yeah.
You.
And, I'm just so used to us being in the same room together when we do them. And so this is like a whole new type of thing. I'm sure it'll be just as fun, and, I'm excited. But yeah, it's a little bit stressful, but we got this.
We got it.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We hope you liked it, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.